Good morning. Good morning. Tuesday mornings we start early, and I am. Doesn't feel like Tuesday though. I guarantee you. It does not. It feels like Monday. Isn't that the truth? I imagine everybody will feel the same way. There's one thing that's not fun about timing things like this. It's having things going like this. It's the fact that we are out of sync for the rest of the week. Well, it'll take us a little while to get. Of course, it didn't feel like. Morning, Scott Maloney. Morning, Mara. Morning, Mom. It didn't feel like, it hadn't felt like the right day for several days to me. Anyway, it is. We've had Christmas Eve service and had a great Christmas Eve service. Big crowd. Sunday morning was good. We had a packed house. That was good to see. It was a blessing. Glad to see. Didn't know what to expect. You never know. But had a great crowd. I wasn't real sure the 5 o'clock time frame was going to work very well. I mean, I didn't know, how that'd work. My thought was, like our family, it was nice to finish that and then go do our family stuff. So that's what we did. So that gave people, that was my thought in setting that time there. All right, very good. Well, we are going to get into the word here pretty quick. I was just going through a few verses here in this chapter 18 of Proverbs. Give everybody a second to get on, and then we're going to get into it. Okay, let's go. Proverbs chapter 18. I'm not going to wait on too many people because being Tuesday morning and right after Christmas, I know everybody's out of kilter a little bit, and this early time frame always messes with people. And I say that every week. You guys that are here every week understand that, but the people that watch at odd times or different times wondering what's going on. So we're going to try to get this angled just a little bit better. My selfie stick was moved for pictures yesterday, and I didn't realize it until right before we started. So let's go to Proverbs chapter 18, and verse 1 says, "Unfriendly people care only about themselves. They lash out at common sense." Boy, that's kind of harsh on the people that are unfriendly, but isn't that true? Unfriendly people, they're just worried about themselves, so a lot of truth in that. Verse 2 says, "Fools have no interest in understanding. They only want to air their own opinions." You ever have people just try to talk over you and not really interested in hearing anything else? They're telling you what they're going to do ahead of time, I guess, and only their opinion is true. They may be right, but they also may not see something, and that's what it's always good to get others' information. Verse 3 says, "Doing wrong leads to disgrace, and a scandalous behavior brings contempt." Boy, isn't that right? Just simple stuff, but so true in these Proverbs. Wise words are like deep waters. Wisdom flows from the wise like a bubbling brook. Boy, I tell you what, he just uses that illustration of deep waters and wise. You can't really tell what's underneath. You can't tell how fast or strong the current is. in those wise words sometimes. Verse 5, it's not right to acquit the guilty or deny justice to the innocent. And fools' words get them into constant quarrels. They're asking for a beating. That's verse 6. Fools' words get them in constant quarrels. Some people just say the wrong thing at the wrong time. They cause a fight. They cause trouble. But it says that they're asking for a beating. Verse 7 follows that up with the mouth of a fool. Fools are their ruin. The mouths of fools are their ruin, and they trap themselves with their lips. Things said. Oftentimes, you can just be around some people. It's like, why do you say that? And it usually brings the results there. So what we want to understand is he's trying to give us insight into, hey, watch what you say. Be careful of how you say things to people, and you'll have the consequences of that. But he's just bringing out just being careful with our words, or being but foolish people do it and don't even realize it. We're all going to say things that we wished we wouldn't have sometimes, but here's the thing. The fool won't learn from it. Now, he gets into something here in verse 8 that I want to hit on. He says, rumors are dainty morsels that sink deep into one's heart. Rumors, he uses the dainty morsels. In other words, all these goodies. I don't know about you, but I ate more sugar and more sweets in the last 2 days of Christmas Eve and Christmas than I've eaten in 3 months. Okay, maybe more. I don't eat sweets very often, but boy, I sure like them. I've just trained myself to not have to have them, and so I stay away from them for the most part. But boy, once you start, especially on my mother-in-law's fudge, especially on some of these other sweets that we got, I'm telling you, that stuff is hard to quit on. And you think, well, it's just for today, and that's true. But anyway, I don't know about you, but I need to. If I have Oreos in the house, and we don't even buy them. Very seldom do we ever even buy those. You bring those into the house, and now I got a lot of self-control on a lot of things, but I start on those with milk, and I'm telling you, it's really hard to stop. So pretty soon I've eaten a whole row of those Oreos out of there, and but here's what I've learned: if we don't have them in the house, they're not a temptation. And once I break my craving for that sugar and those sweets, and I break that habit of thinking I have to have it, then it doesn't control me, unless I see it walking through the store and I grab a bag or a box of it and bring it home, and we open it up and we start to eat it. See, rumors are the same way, and that's what he's talking about. We like to hear a little bit of a rumor, oh, and then we hear more and more and more, and pretty soon we're in the middle of a bunch of gossip. And so he's trying to teach us something. This is why these are wise words. Some people, they just can't resist. They just can't resist. And so he's saying, look, there's a better way. Verse 9 says, a lazy person is as bad as someone who destroys things. Don't take care of your stuff, that's bad. Being lazy, that's bad. Boy, I mean, he just hits it head on, doesn't he? Verse 10, he says, the name of the Lord is a strong fortress, and the godly run to him and are safe. So the name of the Lord is our fortress. But he says in verse 11, he says, the rich think their wealth is as a strong defense, and they imagine it to be a high wall of safety. They trust in their riches. And so he says the name of the Lord is our fortress, following God, trusting God, entrusting our life and putting our faith in everything that is God, in his word, in his promises, instead of in what we can produce. He's separating the two. Where is your loyalty? Where is your trust? Haughtiness goes before destruction, but humility precedes honor. Verse 12. Now, I noticed something in the commentary, and it brings this out. I'll give them credit for it. in this from this Bible's commentary, but it says verses 13, 15, and 17 give us three basic principles of sound decisions. First of all, spouting off before listening to the facts is both shameful and foolish. That's verse 13. So whenever we make decisions, spouting off before you've heard the information, before you've listened to the facts, that's foolish. So waiting, gathering the facts. Sometimes you make a conclusion, or you start talking about things, or you get into you've almost got the decision made up. Don't confuse me with the facts. My mind's made up. That's not good decision making, right? But then in verse 15 it says, intelligent people are always ready to learn, and their ears are open to knowledge. So listening and being open is a good way to make decisions. So you may have an idea of what you want to do. You may feel like this is the right thing to do, but you're going to gather information. So saying what you're going to do before you have facts is foolishness. Gathering facts is better. But then in verse 17 it says, the first to speak in court sounds right until the cross-examination begins. In other words, you need to hear both sides. You need to hear the pros and cons, the good and the bad, the one person's opinion and another person's opinion, the insight from different directions. Gather information. How many times have we made a judgment about, maybe people in a relationship? I could use this example. Through all the years of being in ministry, we've been involved at times with people who were going through some struggles in their relationships and or various other things. And sometimes you hear one side of it and you go, man, that person is terrible. I can't believe the way they're acting, what they're doing, what they're saying. And then you hear their side of the story and you say, well, wait a minute, I see wrong on both sides here, or whatever it be. And so, you sometimes, we've probably all been guilty of making a decision to say this person or that person is wrong until we hear all the information. And so the first one sounds right until the cross-examination comes in. So then working through that it brings a better judgment, making sound decisions. Now you see how the scripture from Proverbs guides and directs our life and gives us wisdom. Let's look at verse 18. Flipping a coin can end arguments. It settles disputes between powerful opponents. Boy, there's a whole lot of times I think maybe, okay, we're going to do this or not? Let's flip a coin. Sometimes everybody's right, and you just got to go with something. Sometimes you have to give, and I think in marriage relationships, there's times when you're both right, you both deserve to get what you want, but you just can't. And sometimes you just have to come to a conclusion. Okay, I'm going to let them win, or we're going to go with that decision. Flipping a coin could end an argument. Verse 19, an offended friend is harder to win back than a fortified city. Arguments separate friends like a gate locked with bars. So what is he telling us there? Be careful with the arguments that you have among friends. Be willing to yield and give just a little bit. Find ways to come together in agreement. Wise words satisfy like a good meal, and the right words bring satisfaction. Boy, isn't that the truth? This verse 21, and I've got a couple of verses here before we end, but this verse 21, the tongue can bring death or life, and those who love to talk will reap the consequences. He says the tongue can bring both death and life. And in this part of this scripture of Proverbs, in this chapter, he's talking a lot about how to make decisions, but also how to guard our words. He relates several different ways of saying your words can bring, and he concludes it down here with either death or life. You think about it, if you're carrying, your words are like containers, they're carrying something with them. It could be gasoline and it could be water. And if you're going to a fire, which one's going to be better? You say, well, obviously water. Well, there's times you want that fire to go and it be a positive thing. You don't want to throw water on it because you don't want to destroy it. If it's somebody's confidence and boldness and they're doing a good thing, you don't want to come with water and kill the enthusiasm. You want to come with something that enhances that, right? But on the other hand, if it's something that's of value that fire needs to is bringing destruction or destroying, then obviously the other, death and life. We can speak life into people's lives, or we can speak death into people's lives. We can help their dreams, or we can crush their dreams. We can guide them with wisdom, or we can, tear them down with stripping away their confidence. So, powerful thing. Verse 22, I love this. He says, the man who finds a wife finds a treasure, and he receives favor from the Lord. Boy, I tell you what, finding a good wife, he's finding a good thing. And same way with a wife to her husband. But when we're married to the right person, isn't that a great thing? It's something that is treasured. And so that's why you pray to God, ask God to give you wisdom and guide and direct you in those decisions and those choices. And verse 24, the final verse there, he says, there are friends who destroy each other, and a real friend sticks closer than a brother. We probably all had friends that came and went, but we probably, hopefully, also have those friends that even when you're a long ways apart, they're as close as a brother. They're just a phone call away, or just a little conversation, and you're right back in to where you were before. Real friends stick closer than a brother. I tell you what, that's what we desire, and that's what we need. So hopefully you're friendly to those around you and have good friends, but the ones that stay in our lives and stick closer than a brother are the ones that are super, super valuable to us, and I pray that you all have those. Well, listen, as we get ready to as we wrap this up, just want to say, go out today and be a blessing to everyone that you can be, in a way that they'll allow you to sow into their lives and speak into their lives. Sometimes it's just an encouraging word offered. Sometimes it's just an opportunity to bless them in some way. Look for those opportunities as you go out into this week, and go get them for Jesus. Love y'all. Morning, Sean Mayfield. Morning, Aranda. Boyd Pete. Good morning, Brad. Good morning. I think everybody else who was on here early, we don't have as big a group on a Tuesday morning, but right after Christmas. Hopefully everybody had a great Christmas. You may not be done. I know sometimes I talked to some families, they were going to be going into next weekend, and I got the final week of the year coming up, and so be sure and wrap everything up that needs to wrap up in 2023, because this year is just about up. Well, y'all have a blessed day. Love y'all.